What's up, fam? Welcome to Ask to My Ops.
where we challenge you to stop playing and start pushing.
This right here is my lovely wife, Yana.
This right here is my jokester husband, Aigize. And I'm going to keep it moving. We just were halfway through a video, and he wanted to make a comment about how deep my voice is and how it sounds like he's sitting next to a teenage boy. Okay, great. Now you got all that out. We're going to try to actually move through the video. um,
My wife, she actually just woke up, y'all, so that's the reason why our voice sounds like she's the bass singer for a band.
I'm the what? The bass singer.
You're a bass singer for a choir. You singing bass for the choir.
All right. Let's focus.
Okay.
Do you know what the outside of your comfort zone looks like? Do you know what the outside of your comfort zone looks like? For the purpose of this video today, we're going to focus in on our relationships because that's what we focus on. That's what we do. We talk about relationships. And we're not just talking about the relationship between yourself and your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife. We're talking about those relationships that are out there that challenge you, that are friendships, that are children, that are aunties, that are cousins, that are colleagues and coworkers, that are essential for you to be able to move forward in your life on your path, whether they're business relationships or strategic networking kind of relationships. When you look at your relationships and the way that you specifically engage in relationship building and rapport building with other people, do you know what the outside of your comfort zone looks like? And the reason that I ask you that is because oftentimes when we're working with people, we are very, very, very committed to having people experience what it is we're trying to teach or what it is we're trying to get them to learn or where it is we want them to go. How much more effective is it if we can get you to feel it than for us to just talk about it? And so we oftentimes have people go through exercises so that they can do some things to experience, even if just for a second, what it is we're trying to share. And a lot of times people come back and they say, yeah, we went home, we tried to do the exercise, or, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. It didn't work for me. And all that is, 90% of the time, is a clue for us that somewhere along the process, somebody was challenged to go outside of their comfort zone. And so today we want you to really kind of think about that. What does it look like when you're outside of your comfort zone? If you're always comfortable, if you're always in a place that feels good to you in your relationships, where you don't allow yourself to be challenged, where you don't allow yourself to be stretched, or where no one's perhaps even really overtly challenging or stretching you, where you're not thinking that there's anything that you could be doing differently, but you're just kind of flowing and rolling and everything is all good all the time, you probably are very familiar with the inside of your comfort zone. And so I want to give you a very concrete example, and then I'm going to ask my husband to do the same, so start thinking. Don't be taking a long time to answer the question when I get to you, bro. You got that?
I'm outside of my comfort zone right now.
So, so, so when I think about being outside of my comfort zone, most people, when I talk to folks when we do trainings and whatnot, they experience me as a gregarious, extroverted kind of person, and in many ways, I am. I am a Leo. Shout out Leo. And so,
Boo.
and so. Don't say boo. And so I am in many ways, but in some ways, people are often surprised to find out that I am what I would call an introverted extrovert. So a lot of times, for example, my husband and I have to because we mandate it for ourselves because we're trying to grow individually, but we're also trying to grow professionally. Go to places where we need to go and talk with other people or establish some new relationships, have some conversation, networking kinds of things, what have you. And I don't want to do that. I'm like, oh, I'm like, hey, how are you? Okay, so, but on the inside, I'm like, I can't wait till this thing is over. I can be doing that even after a talk. We go somewhere, and after a talk, we're in a foreign environment. I don't really know a lot of people, and folks are coming up and saying how much they enjoyed it, and they're having questions or what have you. And all in all, I always find that I enjoy the overall process and experience more than I didn't enjoy it. But I realize that while I'm in the process, I'm outside of my comfort zone. And a lot of times you'll find that people who are public speakers or presenters, they oftentimes have that common trait, and I think that's just interesting. I think that's a little fascinating tidbit about folks who tend to be in the public eye in some way or have some experience with that, not necessarily being comfortable with really, listen to this, engaging in relationship, with really being able to connect with other people fully, and being totally comfortable with it. And so I know that about myself. I know that I'm outside of my comfort zone when it comes to that. And so if that is the case where I have to be connected to other people in a way that makes me uncomfortable, and I'm aware of that, in what ways does that same part of me transfer to my relationship with my husband? In what ways do I resist being vulnerable or opening up and sharing some things with him? Or do I have a smart comment for something because it really, was an opportunity for me to risk vulnerability, but instead I kept it safe and I was sassy? What ways do you find yourself staying inside of what's comfortable and familiar for you and not going outside of your comfort zone? Let's demonstrate a little bit more. What ways do you find yourself staying inside of your comfort zone, or more pointedly, what does the outside of your comfort zone look like? Can you specifically kind of paint that picture for us?
Yeah, the outside of my comfort zone looks like a space where I appear as if I just don't know. So the vulnerability that's attached to not knowing and admitting that you don't know is very uncomfortable for me. I like to present as though I have it together, as though I have the answer. And yeah, that's true. And so it's uncomfortable and again outside of my comfort zone to say like I'm clueless. I don't know, whether it be in a training, whether it be in a class, whether it be even in my relationship, maybe even sometimes with my children. If I don't know, to just say you don't know, to me, internally is to fess up to a lack of knowledge. But really and truthfully, the man who says I don't know is probably the most knowledgeable person of all because they've opened themselves up to learning more and to knowing more. So I just need to humble myself more and allow myself to be the recipient of all the information around me and just admit that I don't know it all. I ain't got it all together and it's okay. Once I become comfortable with that, being outside of my comfort zone, my current comfort zone will then expand. And as it expands, I'll grow comfortable with accepting that I don't know and being able to articulate and express that I don't know and be willing to receive what I don't know from the many sources outside of me.
And so we wanted to bring this to you today because we want you to think about what the outside of your comfort zone looks like. And once you've identified it clearly, then it's your responsibility to craft a plan to stretch yourself. And whether you do that once a week, once a day, a couple of times a month, whatever that looks like for you, that's between you and you. But really, if you don't first identify it, then you certainly cannot acknowledge it. And if you do not acknowledge it, then you certainly cannot work on it. Because I find that every time I experience, that part outside of my comfort zone where I am in a group of people or with someone or some folks that, I've got to engage with. Are you serious? Where's Jess turned off